Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. We are outside in the garden and we have 3 impactful perennials for your garden that we want to share with you today. If you've been following us, you know how much we love perennials. They are all over our garden and we've got stuff that blooms all throughout the season. And that's exactly what we're going to share with you today. So why don't we get it started? So first one that I have here is this amazing Daisy May. As you can see, it is covered in white flowers right now with a yellow center. And this is one that's going to start blooming for you in early to late spring, and it's going to go all summer long. Now, you don't have to deadhead this one from what we have read, but if you do come out and just snip off the individual blooms that are past their peak, it will encourage reflowering. And if you do that, you can actually get it to flower all summer long for you. Now, what's nice about this one compared to some of the older daisy varieties is that you get more blooms and the stems don't flop over. So there's not going to be any concern of coming out and needing to stake this up. It's also pretty drought tolerant once it's established. We're going to be putting this right behind us in our shed bed where we do have drip, but it is a pretty quick draining soil. So I think this is going to go really nicely there. And after a season or two, this is just going to be a big white ball in your garden, and it's going to be super impactful. Just by us sitting this over in the shed bed, we noticed immediately how the white really pops. So I think this is going to be a great perennial that we're going to enjoy for all summer.
Yeah, look at those huge flowers.
They're really, really big. Okay, why don't you go?
Yeah, so I have cutting Edgetiarella. And this is also called foam flower, and you can see why. It has these beautiful sort of like tall spiral flowers that are just very foamy. It's actually like thousands of little tiny flowers if you look really closely. But we love this plant because it sort of resembles a heuchera. This one's going to go in the shade in our garden, and it has this gorgeous color. It's like a deep purple with beautiful green edging. And we really like this because it's perfect for the border. It's not going to get that tall. Obviously, the blooms are a little tall, but those will peak up, and then when they're done, you'll just trim them right off, and you're left with this gorgeous foliage. So we're going to put these at the edge of a shade bed.
It's very similar to a heuchera in that this is sort of a semi-evergreen in most climates. So you'll probably see these leaves sticking around long through winter, which is really nice.
Yeah, especially in a shade garden when you have these white pop of blooms that sort of brightens things up. And then you have the contrast of these foliage that's going to just set everything off.
Yep. So these are going to be going right on the edge of our moon garden, which is just on the other side of the camera, in the shade spot. And these also like to get consistent water. And we have struggled a little bit with the drip in the moon garden. So we're either going to need to replace all of the drip when we get back from our honeymoon, or we may just add some additional emitters for now to make sure that these get consistent moisture.
Yeah, we'll probably just pay attention to these for just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, last one, and this one is really fun. It has yet to show off its blooms. This is Dark Side of the Moon Astilbe, and this has really beautiful dark purple foliage, which is something that we don't have a lot of in our garden.
Yeah.
We've noticed that we tend to go for just your traditional green or chartreuse we really love, but we don't have enough of this kind of deep contrasty color. So I think this is going to be a really nice thing for us to add, give us some depth to the garden. But not only do you get this foliage, later in the season this will push up a bloom stalk that is raspberry buds that open up into purple flowers. So if you caught our most recent video, we planted a bunch of purple perennials, and this is going to go over in the Union Garden. No other place for it in our garden other than that. So this is going to have a nice home over there. This is another one that you really want to make sure that you keep moist. If you even let it go like a day without getting enough water, the bloom will just kind of like shrivel up and die and get crispy on you. The foliage can do the same. So you want to make sure you either put this in a moist area of your garden, or you run some extra irrigation to it, or make sure you're watering it a lot.
Yeah, astilbe is one of those classic sort of perennials that pops up and blooms early spring. And we don't have a lot of those in our garden yet. We're still sort of building those layers of blooms. So I'm super excited about this because it just has some really unique blooms and foliage. And we don't have any red yet, I think, in the Union Garden either.
Yeah.
So this foliage is going to really set that area off nicely.
And just to give some context, when the bloom comes up, this whole plant is going to be about 2 feet tall.
Yeah.
So another really impactful plant that we're adding to our garden.
Yeah.
So I think that is it. Now we're going to be adding biotone to the holes today so that we give them a nice jolt, give them some good food to get their roots going in the ground. And then, of course, we'll be using our power planter, as always, to make planting super fast. So I'm going to go ahead and get to it.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, we got all those perennials in the ground, and it was a lot of plants, but it went super fast. So we popped in the astilbe right here on the edge, on the shade side of the Union Garden. Now, I will say it was pretty wet in here, and you probably saw all that red clay come out, which is, you know, the beauty of North Carolina, and I'm saying that sarcastically because it really makes a mess. But some people like the clay because it does hold a lot of moisture. So I think these astilbe are going to be really nice over here. It's already some really nice contrast, and I'm really excited to see what shade of purple we're going to get, because sometimes in the gardening world, the purples can lean a little pink, and then the blues are actually purple. But either way, it's going to be a nice addition. We'll make sure to get all of these watered in, but I think these are going to be really nice. So let's head up to the shed bed. But I did want to point out, look at our clematis. Oh my gosh. So we've had these here for a couple of seasons now, and you know, after last season, we were just about ready to pull them out, and lo and behold, this is the best show we've ever gotten. This white one is Duchess of Edinburgh, and this purple one on either side is called Ramona, and the white one is actually a double. It's so pretty and full. I don't know, maybe they'll get to stay in their spot. That's usually how it goes when you're about ready to pull something out. It starts to show off. So let's go up here and we'll talk about the daisies. So our shed bed is getting really full this year, and the daisies are such a good addition. It just is such a nice pop, and it really kind of sets a nice foundation for this bed. I think that's what we were missing. There's a lot of purples, a lot of pinks in here, but we never really put anything white, and it just really pops next to the chartreuse on the loose nepeta, and then there's some bee balm back there that will start blooming in a month or so. So I think this is going to be really pretty. And we did plant these pretty close together because we want it to just be like a big swoop of white. So I think maybe not this year, but probably next year these will touch, and everything will start to look really tight and meadowy, which is what we're going for up here. There was a pretty big tree root in here, so if you guys remember, I've talked about this a lot on this channel. We used to have two really big trees here, and there were some roots still down there, pretty deep, that Brian hit when he was going in with the auger, so I had to rip that root ball apart a little bit to get it in. So we'll make sure to give that one a little bit of extra water, but I'm really excited to see these bloom over the next few months. So lastly, we'll head back here to the cutting Edgetiarella. And this is really nice. This corner is kind of turning into like a little woodland area, and this is a nice addition. Another thing over here is we don't have any contrasting foliage, so this is going to be really nice. Of course, in another week or so, maybe a couple weeks, the blooms will be done, and we'll cut those back and we'll just have foliage sort of similar to heuchera, and I think that will look really nice still. I did notice back here in particular, very different from the Union Garden, it was very dry up here. So I think for now, we're just gonna have to keep these really nice and watered. I might even add a 1/4 inch tubing in here to give this some extra water while we're gone on our honeymoon. But I think when we come back, we're gonna have to rip all this drip up, Brian, and it is pretty deep in there with the mulch. So that's gonna be a fun project. These are all gonna be super impactful in our garden and really make a big statement.
All right, guys, so this is the last video that you are going to see of us before we are married.
So exciting.
I can't wait. It's going to be such a great trip. Our wedding is going to be beautiful, and we are going to be gone to Thailand for 2 weeks. And I'm sure we'll bring you guys all along for the ride, but until then, there will be gardening content, and then I'm sure there will be wedding content.
Yes.
And then we'll be back for the rest of the summer.
Lots of videos to come. So while we are in Thailand, we are going to keep the gardening going for you guys. We won't skip a beat, but once we get back, we're going to share everything about our trip with you. It's going to be exciting. There's going to be beautiful gardens. There's going to be good food and lots of relaxation, hopefully.
Yeah. We can't wait. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure that you give it a like and subscribe to our channel, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye.